center of power.
6:01 yet. The May 2026 regular planning commission meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, commissioners, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you are participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless you are speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to attendees, this meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located in the back of the council chambers above the clock. Will the planning clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. Commissioner Stafford?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Langell?
Present.
Commissioner DeYoung, are you online? I do not hear her at this time. Commissioner Seals?
Here.
Commissioner Seals, you do have a quorum with Commissioner Stafford, Brown, and Langell in the chambers. Commissioner DeYoung does have an excused absence, but I know is trying to get online.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Brown, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item of business is approval of the agenda. Before changes are discussed, are there conflicts of interest to declare? Are there changes to the agenda? Hearing no changes to the agenda will stand unless an objection is raised. Next on the agenda is reports. Do we have a report from our acting city planner tonight?
Thank you, Chair. I have a short report. One is the parade sponsorships are still available. We have 3 sponsorship packages still available for people who want to get the name exposure. We usually get 10 to 12,000 people that come to that parade. We also have about 60 registrations right now. We're going to limit it to 100. So there's still plenty of room. If you or your friends or the awesome clubs that you're in want to come join our parade, that would be awesome. We do have a comp plan update. So just last week they had a steering committee and they also had one-on-one interviews with a variety of different businesses and residents here in the city. And so we should be getting some kind of feedback for those interviews, how they went, and we will share that report with you as we receive it. Also, one last thing on the code compliance report, we did, and Julia worked very hard with our platform provider to customize a code compliant activity report so you guys can see addresses and see if they're open or closed. Just bear with us as we continue to report this to you each time, but I think it addresses the fact of specific addresses and if they're open or not. One of the things that Commissioner Langell did point out is when a case is actually initialized, if code compliance and does an inspection, a Google image will automatically infuse itself into the record. So you might see property from 2011 that looks like it has no problems. Just realize that is an infused image that Google puts into the initial record. When we go out and take pictures of a site to do an inspection or some kind of enforcement, those pictures are all cataloged in the back side of those reports, on the back side of the records, but they're not available to the public. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And that's from my report.
Thank you very much. Well, we're waiting on the Public Works Director, so we'll circle back to him. Next on the agenda is public participation. Public participation is a time for the public to comment on any matter except agenda items that are scheduled for public legislative or quasi-judicial hearing. We are now at persons to be heard, a time for members of the public to share their views with the planning commission. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken into advisement by the commission or administration. Anyone wishing to step forward may do so at this time. Welcome. Please write your name and contact information on the sign-up sheet. When you're finished, state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Stu Graham. I'm a resident of the city, long-term resident of the city. I'm also a member of the City Council, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the City Council. I only speak on behalf of myself. And I wanted to just comment about the new schedule for the Planning Commission. Believe it or not, people actually watch this stuff. You know, just because people don't show up doesn't mean they don't watch it on what's it called, YouTube or whatever. I don't do that, but people like having you guys meet more often. You know, when we were meeting once a month, you know, people would say, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" And I don't get nearly as many of those questions as I used to. Because people feel like they're better informed now. So I just wanted to say thank you for revising your schedule, and thank you for meeting more often and making yourself more visible to the public with your actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak tonight?
Sorry, I've never been to one, but you got me here.
You're more than welcome to.
Do I introduce myself?
Yep,
I'm Judith Woods.
you put your name and information on the contact sheet.
Okay, I will be sure to do that.
Yeah.
I just,
There's another one. Go ahead and push the button.
Oh.
Should, yep.
hello, I'm Judith Woods. I'm here on behalf of a few of us that live off of Glenwood on Woodcrest Drive. I bought this house this is my 4th year. There are salvage people that live next door. It's what they do for a living. And I've tried to be a good neighbor with them. And they put things on my property when I drew it to their attention that I want it removed. Excuse me, excuse me. They got very upset and thought I was making a big deal over it. So their burning is all the time. They burn all throughout the day into the night. They go in their house. I've called countless times to report them, and still they get a burning permit, and they feel that's a shield to burn what they salvage. And they literally bring stuff from other people's homes and burn it there. Leaves, chipped wood, old lumber, furniture. And it's terrible. It floats throughout my neighborhood, but I get the brunt of it. I'm 80 feet away from their burn pile. And when I complain, they give me the finger. And I've been threatened by them, and I got a gun. I've had police talk to them about them. They said no one's going to tell them what they can do with their property. But when you burn and you pollute the air, that belongs to all of us. That isn't theirs. So my problem is on one hand, it is a salvage. I could build at my own expense, a fence and not look at them. I worry about the quality of, like, if I want to retire and sell my home. But the burning's just, I can't breathe. I can't work in my yard. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak at this time? We're going to circle back. We're going to circle back to Eric for his report on the CIP project.
Julie, are you able to fire up the TVs? Chairman, Planning Commission, thank you for giving me 5 minutes to make it back here. I understand that you had asked to look at the CIP and talk about it tonight. So what I've done is pulled up the entire budget that was sent to council and brought out to the public at the May 11th meeting. So I'm gonna scroll to the bottom. We're gonna make our way to the CIP section. Oops. I'm gonna grab my mouse real quick. So as you can imagine, the budget process is very complicated, takes a long time, and requires a tremendous amount of staff time. So one of the things we worked on collaboratively with the finance department is to pull in some contractual support to work on segments that we can manage. And so this year, we brought in R&M consultants and asked them to bring a new level of organization and then graphic design so that we have a really nice looking CIP budget. The way this process started was we used a function within Teams and SharePoint, which is a Microsoft product, to put together a submission process for all departments in the city to bring their wish list, their want list, their ask for the next 6 years. And so we asked them to front load it with information, give background on what the program would be for, what the project is, and their ask, and if it has continuing funding requests. And so we compiled about 70 projects. And of course, that's a lot, and it overwhelms the budget. So then there was a winnowing process through the mayor and through the rest of the directors to figure out what would be brought to the council as the submission. And so what you have before you tonight and what's in the packet for everyone, if you wanted to log in and see the document center, is this year's CIP ask. What we've done is we have specifics for this year. We have a map that explains where they are. And then we have it's not the full list of requests, but it's the long-term ask from all those departments at the end. So I'll walk you through that. So this is a neat aerial photo that includes part of Lake Lucille at the bottom and the general downtown of Wasilla. And I think it looks really good. It really levels up the document that we've had in the past. We have the fiscal year 27 overview. And so you see it broken into the categories as they are broken out in the budget format of the overall book. So under general government, we have basically 4 big ERP requests, and ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Management Program. So this focuses on the finance department mostly, and I'll zoom in here so we can read a little bit better. So we kind of have a structure where we see ERP implementation assistance is detail number 1. That aligns with the number 1 on the map and the number 1 within the detailed sheets that we'll get to. This request is for $255,000. You see another similar one, slightly different, ERP utilities billing implementation assistance. So the ERP is the broader framework of the financial program, and then there's a specific billing system that needs to come online too. And the the number 4, the enterprise resource planning software, that is the ongoing cost of the program. So the city has selected Tyler Industries or Tyler Technologies, to provide the software, and it has an ongoing license fee. So that's the $208,000, and the both of the $255,000 are support contracts with a consultant called Cohill and Associates, which is the experts that we're using to navigate our data and our structure creation within Tyler, so that we have as smooth a transition as possible from the 20-year-old Naviline process or Naviline program, which is a Central Square product now, to this new Tyler Technologies program. The budget automation software is a program that will make next year's budget much easier. It'll augment even what we started with the CIP process, where the data collection is easier, the data manipulation is easier, and the document creation process is easier, because the budget creation process is incredibly labor intensive. There's multiple kinds of documents that have to be stitched together, leaves room for errors, and so it really weighs down on finances available time to put into their other energies as they go through this yearly. And then we get into public safety. So the police department is asking for cameras, body cameras, and digital systems within the vehicles. There's a project in Idita Park replacing the planters around the Honor Garden. MATCOM is asking for funding for new dispatch consolettes and a new computer-aided dispatch program. The Menard Center is asking for fire alarm upgrade monies and some building improvements. We'll see details of that in a minute. There's 2 fleet replacement funds. So one for public works. So that's all of roads, parks, properties, water, sewer. Those funds go into an account, and then as it's usually light vehicles, but pickup trucks and other vehicles need to be replaced for their age or mileage. That comes out of that. And then fleet replacement for public safety, which is the police cars. And then we get to the roads fund with the roads paving funds that have been a yearly funding request. Another request for railroad crossing replacement funds. 2 requests for match monies to leverage federal money for Peck and Lucille road reconstruction, and then a match monies for a Safe Streets for All grant that the borough applied for. And so this is a ratio of the overall project and the request for our portion of the match. And then roads is asking for funding to have a 5,000 gallon diesel tank to add resiliency and fuel supply for operations and for emergency situations. IT has a request for funding for replacement of equipment and security materials. And then the last one is the sewer fund with, this number's large, but most of it is actually federal or state monies. And so the request has to do with revolving loan fund and then federal monies that the administration has secured through going back to DC and meeting with our representatives and having congressionally directed spending sent our way. And then there's the multifamily community septic tank repairs. That's also some state funding. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and I'll show you the map. So these numbers correlate with the projects we just talked about. So for instance, 15, that's the Peck Street project. 6 is the Honor Garden planters. 9 and 10 are the Menard projects. 13 is the paving money request. 14 is railroad crossings. 19 is sewers money, and so on and so forth. So we wanted to be able to visualize for decision makers and the community where these projects lie as they're spread out in the city limits. I'll pause here. Are there any questions so far?
Mr. Chair, I guess my question is, how do you see the planning commission being involved in the CIP projects? to
That's a
keep
great
us in
question.
Aligned with state and code.
So our code has a section that talks about the planning commission reviewing CIP projects. It's a little nebulous. I think there's some room for an update to the code on what the council's desire is for that review, what should come out of it. I think you and I talked about it last year when we went through this process. I'm not entirely sure what the initial thought was. I think the specificity in the code just isn't there to explain it. But I think it's also, it serves as an opportunity for stakeholders, community members to have an opportunity to look at it. The right time to do that, I don't know exactly when that is. What you typically see in municipal CIP projects is they tend to start, the CIP plan tends to be somewhat separate from the regular operational budget process. It tends to be a little earlier. It tends to be around the turn, what I've seen, especially with cities that have the same fiscal year where it's end of June, 1st of July, it could be 6 months in advance. And it's reviewed kind of separately. And that might be something that the council wants to take up and kind of separate them more. And then if that happens, then maybe we look at the code and make it a little bit more explicit what the planning commission's role is.
So you're saying the commission has no role in the CIP? Even when it's in state law and in
No,
Wasilla code?
I'm not saying there's no role. I'm saying I just think the code doesn't explain what the council has an opportunity to make it more explicit in the code and what it wants the planning commission to do. I think there's room for a bit more guidance in the code so that the planning commission feels empowered to do what's expected and something comes from it. But right now, I think other than the historical norm has just been, there's a presentation given to the planning commission, and then there's a resolution that says we heard about it and we meet that code. So that's the extent
So
of
are
what
we
I know.
not doing a resolution this year? I guess maybe the planner, whoever can.
Yeah, Eric, so in the past, after the presentation is done, you can direct staff to do a resolution in support of the proposed 2027 CIP. And if you want to make suggestions or if there's something that's dear to your heart, we can include those as well. But in general, what comes out of it is a resolution of support that goes up to the council. Just because there is a responsibility to be that advisor to the capital suggested projects.
When they change, this is Chairman Seals, when they changed the duties and objectives recently of the Planning Commission, the language wasn't specific as far as, but what we've done in the past is a resolution of support. So we get a report that shows what the capital projects are.
But I think
We've been asked.
260.020 is very clear that the commission, Wasilla Muni Code, is very clear that the commission will participate in the CIP planning. And we're not doing that. And that's fine, if that's what this group, and I was hoping the attorney could be here tonight to lead us, to give us, if the attorney says, no, you don't need to do anything, then I'm fine with it. But right now, this isn't following code nor state statute, and that's my only concern. But I like the information. It's just that I'm not clear on the process.
Well, and we will be given a resolution in support unless you have questions about any of the items that were presented tonight.
I don't see what a resolution, sorry, Mr. Chair. I don't see what a resolution would do at this point when the council is taking it up on June 1st. We wouldn't even be able to do a resolution before the council discusses it.
Timing wise, there's presentations tomorrow and June 1st, but the actual deliberation is, I believe it's the next week. So I think there's still 2 weeks before
Yeah,
the council
there should be
deliberates.
time for a resolution to go forward. If there's any one of those items that you have questions about, I'm sure the acting planner would take those questions into consideration.
Well, it's not only me. Last year, I know a couple of the other commissioners had questions on projects that they felt should go forward. So it's whatever the commission wants. I'm only one voice on the commission.
Thank you for your opinion for the record.
Before I have a question, I think you're gonna explain some of these projects a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, yep. So I'm just showing how the documents line. So there's a key at the
Thank you,
bottom,
Eric.
giving the names to the numbers, so you don't have to memorize from one page to the next. So then that brings us into detail 1. So we have the department that requested it, the category within the project type. We broke down if it was a ongoing cost or if it was kind of a one-time, so we call that as needed. Is there existing funding? Yes. Where does that existing funding live and what was it related to? And then some timelines on when it would start and likely be completed. So I won't read these verbatim for you, but this is the Cohills support for setting up the new enterprise resource planning program. And if there had been previously appropriated funds, it would show up here. And if there was somewhat of a balance left, it would show up here. And if it was an ongoing project, you would see multiple numbers from fiscal year 27 to 31.
Eric, I do have a question. This
Sure.
is Chair Seals. This upgrade is because we've been dealing with a 20-year-old system. Is that correct?
The ERP upgrade?
Yeah.
Yes. So right now, all of our critical financial information lives in an outdated server that's on site that has tape cassette backups that people have to take home, and it is hanging on by a thread. And so we're at risk of losing our data. We're at risk of having a hardware failure. It is not how do I put this? We must move to a more secure system because we're on its last leg, if you will. It's called the AS400, and we actually own a backup piece of machinery because they don't make them anymore. So you have to scrape and save to find them. So this will take us off of that system and use, current technologies with support. We have to take the whole system offline to do any updates. It was old 20 years ago.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Brown?
Commissioner Brown, so you say current, does that mean we're gonna go to a long distance server to keep our records?
So there will be an off-site storage setup, so it'll be on the cloud, if you will, much like, well, every other financial institution does the same thing. But what it also means is that we can have updated search functions. So getting reports out of this old system is very, very difficult as well. So it's going to make daily use by the staff much easier, but it also means that reports can be written in modern programming languages, and you can have the backup safety that is expected today with sensitive financial information.
And I assume there was discussions on the pros and cons and the possible dangers of using the cloud.
Yeah, security is utmost in our minds. So we're not jumping headlong into something that we feel increases our risk. But with the age of this building and the location of the server, it's always at risk for some sort of on-site natural disaster.
Thank you.
Eric, I just want to add one thing. From the customer side, they'll have one account where they can do multiple things with the city. You can set up an account and you can get a land use permit. That same account will allow you to pay your sales tax. That same account will allow you to do multiple things. Right now, when we had the assessment done, there was about 221 apps that were running in the city. And so when we do a land use permit, we have to go into accounting's software to see where the business license is. Then we have to go into another financial system. Then we have to go into our platform. So it's a 3-step process. So it's still very labor intensive. So this will combine it all into one account and one, what they call ecosystem for the customer.
The next one is, like we talked about, it is the module that will update our utilities billing. And so it will, Cohills will also assist in bringing all of that utility customer information into the new system and make sure that the data lines up so that our customers see an improved experience. We don't lose any data and we can manage their experience better. Just having an email spot in the current program was a addition that they made. So when the program that is being used now did not even have a field for emails, and they can only put one in. And so you can imagine if you have a facility that has tenants, if you've got a multi-use facility, you can only have one email in there because it wasn't even coded to know what an email was. We have a lot of catching up to do. The next one is the budget automation software that we talked about. So at the bottom there it says staff estimates that transitioning to an automated budgeting system will reduce the time required to prepare and publish the operating and capital budgets by more than 400 hours annually. And that is not an understatement. So you'll have more efficient, less errors, and far less staff time to create a budget that will be of higher quality for the public. We're very excited to ask for this, and hopefully it is provided. Number 4 is the ongoing cost of Tyler Technologies. And so you can see that we've paid for 1 year already. So the request is for another $208,000 this fiscal year, and the contract will be completed in fiscal year 28 when everything has gone live. Previously appropriated was $1.5 million. Current balance is $71,000. And then we'll be completely off of the AS400 server and onto the new modern systems.
Mr. Chair, Councilman Brown, to Eric, are you the planner? Will these 4 systems be able to talk to each other?
Yes, they're all integrated.
Okay.
Yep.
This is also the ERP that the borough uses currently. So we've been talking with them in their planning efforts on what worked, what didn't work, and then centralizing that communication so the customer can move accordingly.
One other thing about working with Cohills, they're agnostic to what program we use. They're very experienced. They've helped more than 200 communities go through this process. So they've seen what works. But if we have a program that we like and that we're efficient with, they work with us to make it stay in our resume, if you will. And so some of the things we're going to keep and we're not going to use Tyler Technologies for are the HR side of the house. So HR uses a program called NeoGov, and it has automated processes for all of the HR activities. We'll continue to use that. Cohills is helping us plug NeoGov into Tyler so that they get the right information between each other, but we don't have to take Tyler's version of the product because NeoGov's is better. And then on the work order side of the house for Public Works, Tyler also makes a work order system, but it's not as good as the MaintainX one that we use. So we'll be working to make sure that they talk to each other effectively. So we have a real dynamic partner in Cohills and their depth of experience. One other example was we could not for the life of us figure out how to get NeoGov to produce a list of our utility customers. It used a very, very old reporting program called Cognos, and they have an internal expert in Cognos, and they were able to go in and extract that data. which was something we just didn't have any technological abilities in-house. And so that's been a huge benefit to us. So they just keep proving their value again and again as they've seen it before and they have someone that knows how to do it when we bring them a new problem. So very, very satisfied with what they've been doing for us so far. Number 5 is the officer video and digital evidence modernization, and those are body cameras, and they connect with hardware in the police cars as well. Police cars are now very mobile, data friendly. They have downlinks, they upload all the time, and they're very modern these days. So the chief has selected a product that I forget who makes it. It's either is it Axon? Yeah, it's Axon. Any questions on that? This is an example of an ongoing cost. So it's a 5-year agreement. We get all of the operation up front, and then the overall cost is spread among 5 fiscal years. Number 6 is Parks and Properties request to rebuild the planters around the Honor Garden. You can see that they're treated wood timbers that have been painted, and rot and mildew has set in, and so they're falling apart. And so if the request is funded, we will be looking at some concrete planters so that they last longer. And this is at the near the corner of the intersection of Lucille and Nelson. Number 7 is the Matcom dispatch consolettes. They're very expensive, but they're also extremely powerful in what they do and critical to their operations. So they have multiple communication lines coming into them, and they function for multiple spans of response. And so they have they're let's see, they're using Motorola now. I'm not sure if it says what brand they're looking to upgrade to.
Question. Mr. Chair, just a question on the MATCOM. Is that dispatch center multi-agency use?
Yes.
Are other agencies putting in funding for this too?
Great question. They have contracts. I don't have the contracts memorized. Maybe Crystal does, but yes, there's contracts with fire, AST, and different agencies for coverage by MATCOM.
So would that funding be in addition to this, or is that included in this?
So some of it is from general fund, and some of that is backed up by those contracts, and some of it is from grant monies through the state and federally.
Okay, thank you.
In the same vein, those consolettes that MATCOM's using have a CAD program on, which stands for computer aided dispatch. And so it's a compilation of data as they pull it in from what they can get from the telecom providers, like what phone number it is, that sort of stuff. And then where resources are and who's busy and who's not, because dispatchers call and check in with their LEOs or their other agencies and get status updates. And so they're gathering data and entering data and gathering data. And so CAD is a optimized CAD program is very important for efficiency. And so dispatch thinks about their response time in seconds. And so it's very important to them that they have top quality programs that allow them to be as efficient as possible and just keep that situational awareness. They also do a lot of data recording so that when, especially on the law enforcement side, when someone is contacted, dispatch can say, oh, this person has a profile, be aware of XYZ based on their CAD history. And so that's extremely important for keeping officers safe, to know about other interactions that may have happened in the past. You'll note at the bottom of this paragraph, it says the total project cost is estimated to be $750,000 with $400,000 funded through E911 funds. So you'll see that the request is just $350,000 because E911 funds are offsetting it, and they have some funding already in the account that they are asking to receive more funding to. Next is the Menard Center. They're looking to upgrade their fire alarm system. They have had some faulty sensors that have gone off with fog machines and some other instances that have caused the building not to clear, which is pretty disruptive during a program. And so they're looking to repair those and also just make sure that that system meets current standards for reliability and response. The building improvements talks about several things. They hope to improve functionality, safety, and the user experience. They plan to upgrade the skate shack. They want to have more skate storage capacity, replace the flooring, and install 3 service windows to streamline the skate checkout and return process. It will also replace interior and exterior building tiles, upgrade interior lighting to energy efficient LEDs in the restrooms, locker rooms, public areas, and add additional electrical capacity, including 50 amp service connections and outlets in locker rooms and other high use areas. So together, these improvements will modernize the facility, improve operational efficiency, and better serve the community. So you can see some pictures. This is the siding that's coming off that they want to fix. This is a skate shack that the windows are too small. If you ever got skates from them, they stick them through like a little McDonald's window. They want to enlarge that so it's easier to hand skates out. They have a very robust camera system, but they want to add some more cameras in some blind spots. And then they're going to add even more skate storage capacity.
Mr. Chair, question. Does the Menard Center cover maintenance and improvements in their budget, or is this in addition to that?
So they do have an operations budget that they have maintenance monies in. And so this is outside the scope that they have to prioritize. So Scott does a phenomenal job forecasting his budget. And so this is above that, which is why he's asking for a CIP. Fleet replacement, we kind of talked about that a little bit, but this is one of our, this is a picture of one of our property trucks. So our typical fleet replacement is 10 years on a vehicle. So we try to rotate those out as they start to cost more than it's worth repairing them and they go out to surplus. Much the same with the police department. We included a photo. If you hadn't noticed, they joined with WPD to wrap the SRO vehicle with a WPD specific wrap. Turned out really nice. It was highlighted in an article in the paper and the school was really excited about it. So they raised half the funds and the chief matched it. And so got a really sharp looking SRO vehicle. Any questions on that? You can see that chief has spent his last funding. So he has less than $2,900 in his fleet replacement fund. So he's looking to replenish that again this year. Road city paving, we had been historically requesting and receiving $1 million a year to finish the road paving initiative. We're getting close to being done with finishing all the gravel roads. The remaining ones are a little bit more complicated. That's why they're kind of put to the end. And we're also moving into a funding match request with the state. And so our request this year is for $500,000. And so if we keep that pace, it'll make the completion a little bit longer, but we're able to get onto some of the road rehabilitation projects that we needed to get to for a few years, but leveraging federal monies to do that. So if this is approved in the budget process, we'll be putting together a smaller paving project list this year.
Commissioner Brown, is there any matching funds with the borough since the roads are served by city and borough residents?
No, they don't help us with any of that money.
I was gonna laugh, but I wanted to wait until see what he said.
Nope.
Commissioner Langill, question, has the discussion been brought up yet as far as the city bonding packages to fund a lot of these projects that need to be done within the city?
So it has been done in the past. Typically, borrowing has been frowned upon, and we don't bring bonding packages to the council because debt is not something we've seen support for. And so with the balance in the fund stabilization fund, there are resources that could be spent before bonding is needed. So right now, bonding's not being discussed.
Thank you.
So the next request has to do with railroad crossings, and this is an interesting relationship. I don't know if the planning commission has heard of this, but when the railroad was here first, then when you want to cross the railroad with a road, you get a permit from the railroad, and then you sign an agreement saying you as the permittee will pay for maintenance of that crossing in perpetuity. And so we have 7 permitted crossings. We also have permits where our water lines and sewer lines run under the railroad. We get to pay for that too. So we have 7 permitted crossings where if a windstorm blows the arms off and they have to come repair them, we get a bill for that. If a drunk driver takes out equipment, like on Clap Road, we get to pay for that. When the crossings have worn out, they have about 25-year life, we get to pay for that. So we had been budgeting and planning for the crossing replacement at Glenwood, and they had given us an estimate of $450,000 to $600,000, and we received that as capital monies last year. Then they provided us with the detailed cost estimate, and it was $1.2 million. So we will not be rebuilding Glenwood this year. We are hoping for the rest of the funding so that we can rebuild Glenwood next year. Very
Question,
frustrating.
Eric.
Mhm.
This is Commissioner Seals. So we pay in perpetuity, but the railroad actually does the work, correct?
They do some of the work, yes.
Some of the work.
They'll install the signals and they'll install the concrete crossings. We get to do the shoulder work. So there's kind of a handoff. They realize they're super expensive, so they do work with us to say, we'll do the bare minimum. You know, the railroad will do the bare minimum that they have to do, which is, of course, their signal structures and that sort of stuff. They'll let us take the rest of it because their overhead is 62%. And we don't want them to do work that we can do ourselves. It's not cost effective. So
No.
we're even looking at securing their materials ourselves and giving it back to them so that we don't have their markup on top of that.
Thank you.
We have more crossings coming. So after Glenwood, we have Jude, and then we have a partial rebuild of Clap that we have to do. It's mostly the asphalt on the sides. And then trying to find a way to, in the long range planning with the MPO, we're trying to find a way to get rid of Snyder Crossing and get a connection to Railroad, because Snyder Crossing is both problematic and it's going to need an upgrade soon too. So trying to reduce those life cycle costs with railroad crossings. There are a few places in the state where the road came first. Up in Fairbanks, the railroad gets to pay DOT for a permit across DOT road, but we aren't that lucky. We get to pay DOT, we get to pay railroad. So any more questions on that? Number 15 is one of those MPO match monies that we talked about. So the MPO was created basically 2 fiscal years ago, and there are funds that come directly to the MPO as soon as it was created. The MPO wasn't structured enough to spend any of it. So the first set of funding went to 3 projects that aren't listed here, but the MPO has money to do a pavement condition assessment, a street light inventory, and a sign inventory. And so they're working on that right now. And then they had us nominate road rehabilitation projects. And the caveat on that was the project basically had to have all the right of way that you needed. It just basically needs new asphalt. And so submit those projects. And so we submitted Peck and Lucille Street, and we hit the funding limit, so it's just the lower section of Lucille from Nelson back to Parks. But in both those cases, the rutting and the water remaining on the road is causing tremendous potholes. And so this picture right here, it's a little hard to see, but this is a straight edge laying across the road, and it's showing the rut and the rutting from the probably from studs and probably from the warmth in the summer. But it's more than an inch. And so when water hits the road, it stays on the road and runs all the way down the road. And so tires and puddles breed potholes, and they just go up, 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 up. And Lucille's the same way. And so DOT will, if the funding is provided, we'll send DOT our match. They'll use MPO funds, and they'll design the, it's probably going to be a mill. They call it mill and fill. They'll grind it out and repave it. There are some funds for Lucille to dig down where the potholes are really bad and do some subgrade repairs. So it's a 20% match. So we'll have $1 million of work capacity if this project is funded. I might have misspoken. It looks like we'll have 2.3 million if the project is funded. In the same vein, the borough got a Safe Streets for All grant, which meant that they had planning monies to go and look for problems, and they did a pretty wide review of problem areas, and Crystal's kind of involved with that. But when did that first phase end? Was that last year?
Sure.
Yeah. So they found some projects for us. They wanted us to look at Swanson, and then they really wanted to look at Cruzy and pedestrian crossings. And so the Wasilla Middle and High School separated paths has several features. It's kind of highlighted in this this map here, but you see my cursor. They want to add a pathway along the south side of Bogard from the west side of the middle school up to Cruzy, and then they want to add a path from the east side of the middle school down to Cruzy on the driveway that leads kind of up to the Brett Ice Arena. And then they propose adding a sidewalk on East West Point, so that's part of our project. And then I was asking for help with the tunnel under the parks, and so that's part of our project too. So our role is providing match for that sidewalk on East West Point, and then providing the match to have monies come back to the tunnel and make it safer and more manageable.
Question on that. This is Commissioner Sales. Is the school district involved in any of the funding of this crosswalk between the high school and the middle school?
I don't know where the borough is going to get their part of the funding. So I don't know the answer to that. I know that the Borough Public Works Department and their engineering group is the one that put this together. So I don't know if they were going to the school district to get that funding, or if they were going to use some other funding.
Because on the east side of the middle school, from the school building to Cruzy Street, there is an actual separated piece of pavement that is supposed to be a sidewalk, because those street lights are out like 6 feet away from the edge of the pavement into the lane. Well, one of them is missing, so there's a concrete barrier because somebody ran it over. But that basically is separated out as a sidewalk there. So are they gonna? I'd be curious to see what they wanted to do money-wise there.
I think it's going to be right along the road. So I don't know if there's going to be a curb along Bogard, or if it's going to be set back a little bit. But right now, there's nothing along Bogard on the south side for the school. You have to be in the parking lot, or you have to cross Bogard. And we saw that with the Arctic Winter Games. They were crossing at that intersection. There was no way to walk along the side of the road without being on the shoulder. So
I might have been mistaken. I thought we were talking, what I was talking about is between the Brett and the library,
Mm-hmm.
where the outlet for Wasilla Middle School comes out onto Cruzy.
Mm-hmm.
There is a patch of asphalt that was separated by light poles as
Oh.
a sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, you're on Cruzy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this would be coming from the middle school building
Uh-huh.
down to, behind the Brett to Cruzy Street.
Yeah. Well, there's a path that goes from the middle school kind of down to the library.
Yeah, but
But
this
there's
is
a-
right along the driveway.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to tell that it was designed as a sidewalk.
Yeah, it's probably
Because-
the problem.
Because it's just a continuous strip of asphalt,
Mhm.
but they inset the light posts.
Oh,
And it does connect to the sidewalk on Cruise, or the path on Cruzy.
they might be trying to distinguish that more, provide more of a barrier of some kind. I'm less familiar with what they wanted to do with the two school sidewalks, but the nexus was close enough that they've lumped us together with that project. And so the city's match leverages over $3 million in the project. So hopefully it's funded.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Down those same lines, I guess I'm just trying to see why this is a city problem and not a school/borough problem.
Well, the part of it is, and that's why they're not
100% why it's not.
well. So, like, if you think about East West Point,
Yeah,
that doesn't have a nexus with the school, right? That's just a pedestrian access that doesn't exist. There's no sidewalk on East West Point from McDonald's back to Cars. And then we know that students live on the south side of the railroad tracks, and now they're crossing over the railroad tracks, and so that's where the tunnel improvements benefit the school safety routes.
Question, isn't the tunnel being repaired?
Um,
If we're talking the one that,
Say that again?
the tunnel that crosses Parks,
Yes.
is that being repaired?
In this funding request,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
Thanks, Eric.
Moving on to 17, we talked about this. We have implemented multiple large fuel tanks. We have 5,000 gallons of gasoline at the police department and at the road shop. And so buying in bulk has provided tremendous cost savings, even with what's happened with fuel prices. Oh man, it's close to $1 less expensive when you buy in bulk than if you go to the gas station. And it also gives us operational resiliency. So we have enough on hand that when natural or man-made disaster hits, we have fuel available. So we're careful about not letting it get too low. We've seen great success in responses, especially when we've had winter events. Back in the windstorm of 22, the police department was getting so low on fuel that they started rationing vehicles, because when there's no power, the gas stations don't have any power either, and they can't pump you. Or when the internet goes offline. We have a really interesting fuel management system that doesn't need internet. As long as you have used it once before and you have your ID number in it, you can get fuel. And then it uses our phones and keeps track of it for accounting purposes, but it doesn't need to be connected to anything. And then we have generator backups to run those pumps. So this just adds to the diesel side of the resiliency that we've made possible with the gas side. IT is asking for continued technology replacement, security equipment funds. This goes to all of the computers, camera systems, door control systems that the city uses today. Wastewater treatment plant digester expansion. This is something we've been working on, and the design is past 95% now. The only thing that keeps changing is how many more federal dollars we're getting. And so we had a really hard time getting the numbers right on exactly how much the request was because the mayor and Crystal have been so effective at partnering with our federal partners that we're trying to offset our required funds to backfill with other supporters, whether that be state or federal. But this is one of the top priorities, right next to the discharge permit program where we get permission to discharge into the wetlands.
Eric, I have a question. Is this new digester, is it gonna be indoors?
It will be sort of, it'll be in the ground with a cover on top of it. So it'll be actually two side-by-side concrete boxes that are mostly buried to keep the heat in. So they'll be almost at grade level with just a top on them. And then there'll be a pump vault next to them that you go downstairs into the ground to be next to the tanks for the pumps. And then there'll be a building that houses the air compressors that blow air into it. And then the dewatering system where we pull the sludge out of the one tank that's being dewatered, and we'll use a screw press and it'll squeeze the water out, and then we'll be left with the sludge that we stockpile at the sewer treatment plant.
I would highly recommend a tour of the Eagle River treatment plant. It's all indoors and it handles all the sewage from Eagle River and discharges back into Eagle River as drinkable water. So I think it would be highly worth your time to go and take a look at that facility.
Thank you. What this will do is, right now, our one digester is 149,000 gallons. This will build two 200,000 gallon digesters. And what it will change in our process is, right now we can only put in about 10,000 gallons of sludge a day. And some of it will have been there for a month, but some of it will be pretty fresh. And that's not how you want to treat your sludge. You want to, the batch system works the best. And so by having three, it will be filling one will just be bubbling as it digests, and then the third one will be decanted down. And so we'll be drawing out of it and taking the sludge out and then sticking the liquid back into the next one before it. And so you get a complete, it's kind of like, it's really like brewing beer actually, but you want to have the whole thing brew at once.
Not a good analogy.
It's true. No one will drink any beer tonight.
I'm not
but-
thirsty anymore.
Yeah, sorry, but it's true. It's the way it works. And so to be able to do it all in one big batch is more efficient, more effective, and to be able to rotate is important. And then so we talked about inside. It will have a facility that has a dewatering system, and next to it will be the air compressors, and then next to it will be the control system, and then there'll be some office and lab space. And so I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but this little building right here is the current operations and lab building. That'll be demolished and a new building will be built back over here, and then the new digesters will be situated here. So all the controls for all three will move to a new building, all of the dewatering will move there, and all of the air compressors will move there, so that we have easier to maintain and more complete in how it connects to each other system.
One final question.
Mhm.
Are you gonna be using polymers to separate out your solids?
Yes. Yep. There'll be a polymer injection into the screw press. And it's designed for a second screw press. If we grow to that, we'll have the capability to run two of them. The current loading will mean that they will only have to drain a tank every few weeks. And so it'll be I think they're planning a 3-yard bucket right now. And so they have these self-tipping buckets that they'll stick under the outlet of the screw press, and they'll fill it up, and then they'll take it out with a loader, and then they'll stick it in the stockpile, and they'll put another one in, and they'll just keep doing that. And so they'll just fill a couple of those a day as they draw down that one tank while the other two are doing their thing, and then we'll just keep rotating. And so it'll be a daily thing, but it'll be very manageable.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brown, and with the matching funding, what's the estimated total cost?
Total cost is about 14 million.
And does that include, you say you're stockpiling the solid waste? Isn't there an issue what you're gonna do with that solid waste? Isn't Anchorage a question mark at this time?
Yeah, so if we hit a point where we can't or don't want to stockpile it on site anymore, then it'll probably go to our landfill, go to the Borough landfill. That requires some testing, which is not insurmountable. Right now, it's just cost effective to stockpile it on site. It's pretty amazing how little there is actually of it. It's not, you would think that after 40 years of doing this, that you'd have, a mountain back there, but it's not all that much material. But eventually we'll have to decide what we want to do with it, and it can be taken to landfill if it needs to be.
Commissioner Stafford, so will this upgrade eliminate the need to haul stuff into Anchorage?
Say that again?
Will this upgrade eliminate that need to haul into Anchorage? Or is that still gonna have to be part of the?
No, it's,
picture?
well, it depends on who. We have forecasting all of our customers' sludge needs. We believe this will offset any of them to need to haul to Anchorage, but this isn't a regional solution. This only serves what we can forecast for our customers. And so that's kind of a hard thing to deal with because, say for instance, Target, they have an extremely large tank. They just installed a brand new 12,000 gallon tank. That's 3 times what we can pump in a day. And so when they need to pump it out, all of that goes to Anchorage, but they don't call us and tell us they've pumped it out. So we had to go ask them and say, how often do you think they do that? And we've added some factors of safety. So from what we could gather from Intel and all of our data on our own pumping, we believe this gives us the capacity, which is why we don't have both screw presses yet. We have a plan for the second one, but this will meet our capacity for quite some time. The real question will be, as soon as we have the capabilities to do all the hauling, how close did we get? Did we hit 80% of full capacity right away, or were we at the 50% mark, that sort of thing? So there'll be some ground truthing in the next 5 or 6 years to bringing all of the solids back from our customers that were diverted to Anchorage.
And confirm the estimated date, Commissioner Brown, the estimated date when these new tanks will be online?
Well, we're shooting for 2028. Yeah.
Commissioner Lancho, I was going to ask a similar question. With the city open for business for so many big commercial projects, at what point will the city be able to provide all services to those businesses?
That's
Or
a
is
great,
that just something that's going to continue down the road?
well, no, we hope to get ahead of it. That's what the sewer master plan is going to identify. So we have HDL engineering under contract with sewer master plan. They're working on it now. I intend to have them come and speak to the council in July and show them what we've got started. But as we talked about near, midterm and long-term projects, the near term is to deal with the limits we're hitting right now with our permit capacity and figuring out what we can do. One of the things that we can control, especially on the permit capacity, is to get ahead of infiltration and I can never remember what the second I is. Anytime our system leaks, especially like around the lake, all the lake water gets into our system, we're just pumping water to the treatment plant. We don't want that. And we have some known leak points. And so we're attacking those this summer with their support and coming up with a long-term plan so that they don't keep reoccurring. So that's easily in our controls to get in there and just make sure that every gallon that we get at the sewer treatment plant is sewage that needs to be treated, not lake water. And then we can go into other flow reduction techniques that we've talked about with them, and also move headlong into the next phase of the permitting to get our discharge permit increased as soon as we can get, and that's going to take some finesse with the regulators. They don't seem to have any concept of time, and so poking them has been a priority, and it's been cumbersome at the same time.
Thank you.
And the last one is just talking about multifamily community septic tanks. And the reason we kind of split those out is they're really large. So we have multiple 10,000 gallon tanks, which maxes out our pumping abilities in one day. And so that requires support from private haulers. And so then when the tanks need to be replaced, they're extra expensive. And so we're just kind of highlighting the differences between those tanks and regular residential tanks. Partly because they're also very effective in reducing our operations costs. If you needed, 1,000 gallon tank is kind of a standard for a smaller house. So you've got a 10,000 gallon tank versus 10 1,000 gallon tanks. That's 9 less pumps that you don't need. And those pumps and all that infrastructure is really what kills us for the life cycle cost. So if we can have gravity mains to one big tank, we have one piece of infrastructure, we have one failure point with those pumps. That's a model that we want to implement as often as we can, and that comes down to the master plan too. But we have some tanks that are approaching 25 to 30 years old that need to be replaced. And so this funding request is leveraging some state revolving funds to reduce our initial costs by using some state monies.
So on the multifamily tanks, the city absorbed the entire cost for pumping and maintaining those?
Yes.
Is there any reason we don't share that cost with the multifamily complex?
So when the developer built those, they installed them at their cost. And the way the code is written and the way history has been, the city then assumes the rest of the life cycle cost. The rates are supposed to prepare for that eventuality where you have to replace it. And the rates haven't increased since 2014. So we'll be addressing rates in this next fiscal review too.
Commissioner Langill. Multifamily septic tank. From your comments, are you saying any new multifamily, the city is going to provide them these septic tanks?
No. So if you want to build a multifamily facility today, you would install them at your cost. And then after it's passed inspection, then it would become a city asset. And then when it needs to be replaced in 25 years, the city would pay for that. But you're going to burn a pump out within the first 2 years, probably because someone in your facility is going to use flushable wipes, which are not flushable, and they'll clog the pump up and they'll burn up the pump. And then we'll respond in the middle of the night and we'll pump it down, and then we'll replace your pump and we'll say, which one of you did it? And then we'll never figure it out. And then we'll do it again in a couple more years. And so that's why if you have 9 of those pumps, you can see the cost just escalates. It's still not great at 1, but it's not 9.
So for, let's say, a 26 unit complex, they're responsible for their septic systems, or is the city at some point going to take that over?
They're responsible to install it in the beginning, and then the city takes it over.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we have to take care of our own, so I just don't understand.
Here.
So then the rest of it is 28 through 31 overview. So this is a longer list, but it's not the 70 projects that we talked about. And what we did was it gave them names, and then some of them are carryovers. So you can see enterprise resource planning software. And that was detail 4 up above, so it carries over. But then and 5 does as well. 6.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are different park projects that aren't being requested this year, but they're part of the parks. So we gave them a 6 as they kind of align with the honor garden request. So we're trying to kind of join them up so you can kind of understand where we're going. So we get down to 7, library expansion, that got pushed by one fiscal year. Zane had given a great presentation about the reasons and the need for the expansion. And that's been pushed because he's still working on securing some of the grant funding. And so he's probably gonna get it sooner rather than next year, but it's not in this fiscal year request, because he'll come back to the council when those are all lined up. We talk about City Hall, the Menard Center, some more projects. We jumped to 12, that's fleet replacement for the next year, and same for public safety, fleet replacement 13. 14 is the roads paving again. Talk about more railroad crossings at 14.1, road striping in 14.2. Getting into the road rehabilitation projects at 14.3. MS4 compliance program. Does anyone not know what MS4 is? So that stands for multi-sector storm drain system. And so it is kind of like managing water and sewer, but now for storm drains. When we became urban enough to require the MPO, the state also said we're urban enough to require a storm drain management system. But the governor said, don't worry about it. And so DEC came back to Borough, all of us, and said, don't worry about it, but act like you have one. And so now we're at risk with a new governor kind of rolling that back. And so we need to get going on the new requirement that we have a plan for MS4. The big part on that is mapping your system, know where it goes, where does the outfall, where's it collecting from? Because if you have a huge spill somewhere, they want you to know how to follow it upstream to figure out who the responsible party is. There will be testing requirements, and there's also a public outreach component, like don't dump and drain, this goes to a creek, that sort of stuff. They really have high expectations, and you have to show that you're putting enough energy into informing the public on the impacts of storm drains and dumping illicit things, and considering, how you behave in an urban environment and how it affects water quality. Then there 14.5 is a request for a backhoe replacement in a few years. 19 is the IT technology ongoing. 20, 22, 20.1, 20.2, 20.3, there's all different sewer requests. And then the 21 is the lead and copper sampling rule. So EPA requires that we look for contamination of lead and copper in our water lines, because they've shown to have health effects on especially young people, kids. And so soon they'll require that we do specific testing at schools to watch out for those vulnerable populations. And so you have to stand up a testing process, which costs money because each test is about $200. And then you got to do it again and again. And then you have to report on it. And then you have to send out specific notices to the schools and the daycares to tell them either how it's not looking good or it's fine, but we tested for you. So there's a bunch of outreach that has to happen. And with that comes complexity and cost.
I have a question. Chair Steele, so is this a contracted service?
It can be. Yeah, it's very
Or-
common that it is.
Or does the city have 1 or 2 water operators at this point?
Yeah, so we have 3 water operators. We have a Tech 2, a Tech 1, and an OIT. And the OIT is one of 4 people. They move back and forth. We have 2 full-time water techs. And they're basically at capacity with the regimen of testing that we do now and all the locates. We do thousands of locates in a year. And so they are incredibly busy right now. So that coverage will probably be a consultant that helps us set up that program. And it might roll into some of the testing that our techs do, but it's really hard to get into facilities. You have to be there. Typically, the testing requires you to do it first thing in the morning. The water has had to sit in the pipes for a certain amount of time. And when we do it at homes, it's really hard to find reliable homeowners who will test and then get it to us. And so we have like a 50% ratio of dropping off bottles and getting samples. And so that's something that outsourcing would be helpful, to make sure we meet it, but also don't have a tech like wasting their time trying to get a sample when they don't need to be certified to go get a person to get them a tap draw in the morning.
Thanks.
Yep. And then the last one is the runway extension at the airport. Well, I guess not the last one. So the second to last one is construct another general aviation apron G, and then there's the runway extension. And that rounds out the forecast for the next 5 fiscal years. And you can see the addition of all those numbers at the bottom. So adding everything up for fiscal year 28, it's 9.5 million. And then fiscal year 29 is 4.7 million, then 3.7 million, and then 2.7 million. It gets fuzzier and fuzzier as you go out into the future. So, yeah, that ends the review of this process. Any questions?
Commissioner Landshaw, is it possible to add a CIP for code compliance to bring their equipment up to date so that they're not using 15-year-old photos of properties that they have received code compliance complaints for? And to bring the system more current where management can get reports quickly as how long has the complaint been sitting there? If it's closed, was it resolved? Were the complainant notified? Is that a CIP project or is that personnel?
No, it sounds like a CIP project. It's very much like what we talked about with the ERP for the finance department. So they use a program called Citizen Serve right now. It is lacking in some ease of
Very much
use.
lacking.
Yeah, so finding a new program to replace Citizen Serve definitely falls under what we've used CIPs for in the past.
Can it be added into this package?
It can by the council if they want to make an amendment during that phase of the budget process. I don't think we've selected another program to give them, but if you know, if we had some heads up from a council member that they wanted to make an amendment, we could work on a quick list of what it would cost. But at this point, the administration has put together its budget request, which is this document. It's gone to the council. Anything after this is now an amendment by the council.
Well, that's why it's good to have the planning commission involved in the front.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Excellent report. Next, we're at approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the May 12th, 2026 minutes?
Commissioner Brown moved to approve the May 12th, 2026 minutes.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Stafford, second.
Are there any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. We are now on to new business with no items under legislative recommendations, actions. We move to quasi-judicial hearings with no items. With no items under new business, we move to unfinished business. With no unfinished business, we move to communications. Would the planning clerk please read the items for approval under the communications into the record?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. Tonight we have under communications, let me pull it up. Permits and licenses issued May 6th through May 19th, 2026. Permits and licenses issued also May 6th through May 19th, 2026, and code compliance activity from May 6th through May 19th, 2026. And we don't have any new Matsu Borough Planning Commission agendas.
Thank you. We now move on to audience comments. We are now at audience comments, a time for members of the public to share their views with the commission. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration or issues raised may be taken into advisement by the commission or administration. Is there anyone present who would like to address the commission? Welcome. Please write your name and contact information on the sign-up sheet. When you're finished, state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, this is Brian Best. It's me again. Just again, following up on the whole Woodcrest issue. it's becoming more and more frustrating. I mean, I know that a lot of people here are probably working on it, but it's the first time I came here, which was 3 meetings ago, I said it had been over a year. We're still over a year and I haven't seen any movement on any neighbors. If they've been served, I'm unaware of it, and they aren't either, because quite frankly, another neighbor came last time, Craig Thorne, arrested. Another neighbor came this time talking about the fires. And I'll add that there was pretty good sized diesel fuel spill right across the street in their front yard. Some sort of petroleum product that they just drive through back out on the road, and you can see the tracks just going down the road. So it's becoming extremely serious at this point, with the burning of plastics and mattresses and everything else known to man. And, oh, we got a diesel leak, and let's just drive away and keep driving through it until it finally kind of blends in. So I just would appreciate it if somehow we can get something started to give them some sort of heads up. And then on a completely different note, by attending tonight's meeting, I think this is probably a planning commission, but that whole, what was just briefed, as far as community multifamily housing, the city assumes all wastewater once it's built. I'm not very politically correct. That's the damn dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. No wonder these builders are making so much money. I mean, we're all responsible for our own. We've got to do something with that code, figure out a way to sunset it, stop approving this. I mean, you're talking every city taxpayer paying for the sewage because somebody else lives in an apartment, not a house. We pay, it just doesn't make any sense. Well, that's got to be sunsetted or changed in some fashion. And if nothing else, maybe reconsider before you recommend or approve any more multifamily when they want to change something from whatever to multifamily. That's a pretty big consideration of, yeah, it's probably not in the city's best interest. Who knew that $1 million cost was in there? That's Redneck Brian Best 101. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
When you have your own, you take care of it. You don't use wipes. In fact, that one neighbor, she says they don't put nothing down there. They've never pumped it.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? With no one wishing to speak, we now move into staff and commission comments. Does the acting city planner have any comments this evening?
No comments.
Commissioner Brown, do you have any comments this evening?
Not really. Thanks, Darren, for the report. And thanks to the citizens for coming out. But I can see the commission need to look closely as we do approve other permits and stuff, because there's additional cost that we sometimes forget when we approve a permit. So it's a good lesson to us and to the citizens. Thank you.
Commissioner Stafford, do you have any comments?
I do have a question for Eric, if I could.
Yes.
Just for clarification, so those large multifamily tanks, they pay a monthly sewage bill, right? Sorry, I didn't, yeah. They do pay a monthly sewage bill that goes towards
They
what
do.
the services the city provides, right?
Correct. Yep. It's based on their water usage.
Okay. And so so me with a private septic tank, that's a bill I don't pay that they are paying.
Correct.
That pays for those services. So it's not just that the city takes on all the cost. We're charging them and then we do the work.
Correct. And I think where the fees haven't kept up with is understanding the life cycle cost. So if you know that the tank is going to be replaced in 25 years, you need to be able to forecast that and say, you know, that 10 cents extra per month is so that I can replace that tank in 25 years. Because I've got multiple tanks every year to do, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's what the master plan is going to do. Is the first step is going to take all of the assets that we have by size and give them a cost, and then say, here's our whole portfolio of infrastructure on the sewer side. Now when we amortize it out based on age, we have this liability. Every year we need to be spending this much on tank replacements. And so if we have to spend that much on tank replacements, how much should we be charging for this service?
Yeah. And that sewage master plan, is there an ETA on that?
So the ETA is that we are under contract and they are working on the first phase of getting us that data. So they're taking our maps, they're going to be putting it into that GIS so that we can show it. So they're going to have a rough map in July for the council. And then as we refine that, we'll start to have tank counts by size. And so what they've been able to do on the water side, the same consultant won this again with an outstanding proposal. They were able to digest all of our documents and tell us how many miles of this size water pipe we have, how many hydrants we have, how many valves we have, and then you can just add value to those. And now you have what they call an enterprise resource management plan. You know what the cost of your resources are, and then you can start to divide it up by age.
Okay. And then I also hear you say that there hasn't been an increase in rates since 2014.
Correct.
And would that take an act of city council to increase those rates?
Yes.
Okay.
I will have an ordinance for them next meeting to look at.
Okay. No other comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Langill, do you have any comments this evening?
Yes, I'd like to thank the Public Works Director for an excellent report. And then I would like to see a resolution come to the next Planning Commission meeting to approve the CIP 2027 as outlined by the Public Works Director and adding funding for a CIP for the Code Compliance Program upgrade. And other than that, good meeting.
Yeah, this is Chair Seals. Yeah, I was going to say that our sewer rates, even though they haven't increased, they were based on so much put aside for replacement of these tanks. And then I think DEC has got a match or something in on that. Is that correct, Eric?
For the master plan?
For the septic tank replacement, I thought there was.
Yeah, so they have a what they call the state revolving loan fund, and sometimes it's a loan and sometimes it's forgivable and sometimes it's a mix. They get EPA money. So we've applied for multiple projects on the sewer side and multiple projects on the water side. And we're a class 3? Tier 4. We're a tier 4 entity, which means we have access to quite a bit of money. It's a lot of work, as any grant application is. So we've just gotten through the process on a couple of those, and we have several more in the queue. But we intend to continue to leverage as much of those funds as our tier 4 limit will allow.
Thank you. I just wanted that on the record so the public didn't think we were just paying for everything.
Fair enough. Appreciate that. That's what I thought.
No, there's, as you pay, if you have city sewer, you pay so much a month for so many gallons. And in 2014, I'm pretty sure they figured in some cents a gallon for future upgrades. So we've definitely need to increase our sewer rates. But other than that, it's not all the city taking care of this. It's you get to pay too. Well, thanks. That's all I had tonight. And with no further business at hand, I'm adjourning this meeting unless an objection is raised. Hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned at 7:30.